Welcome back. This is week 1, part 5. Hope again you're enjoying the class. If you have any questions, feel free to post it on mailing list. We will be happy to actually have a conversation. Thanks to actually asking some questions for some of you. So what I thought we will do this part is that I will do a whirlwind tour of the different topics that we have worked on past, let's take 10, 12 years. I handpicked some of the topics just to show you what are the different type of problems, different type of projects, different type of ideas that you can actually think about in this whole space called privacy and security in online social media. What did we do in part 1, part 2, part 3? What have we covered until now? We know what social networks are, what are the different types of social networks. We have understood a little bit about how they play a big role in our real life. And then we looked at some parts of metrics for social networks, graph theory, what are the different ways you can measure centrality, what are the different ways by which you can actually find some features of these nodes that can explain who's the most popular node, who's the most which node is playing a most important role in a graph and all that. To extend that idea for this week, we will look at how you can actually use some of these ideas and study some interesting questions. And particularly, I picked all the work that we have done so we can actually have more conversations if needed from students. And it can also help you to set your way of thinking for the rest of the semester, which is these are the kinds of problems that you can actually start thinking about to addressing. Not just you have to address it, but even the topics that we'll see in the class will be aligned to some of the projects that I'm going to mention today. They are not arranged in any particular order. Some places I actually modified the order in which it is presented. But first one. So the way that I've titled the slides are the network and the problem. Right? So in this case, it is YouTube. And one of the problems that we were interested at some point in time is to actually look at YouTube. These kind of problems seems to be so much relevant. We've had many people talk to us afterwards also about these kind of work, and some of these pieces of work gets generally also talked about in media, talked about in other than just academic research. Right? So mining YouTube to discover extremist videos, users, and hidden communities. The question is, look, YouTube has a lot of these extremist videos, radicalization. I think if you look at YouTube as a platform which is used for radicalization, there's a lot of radicalization going on social, largely in YouTube particularly. So what we did here was collect a lot of, I think the methodology, another important thing I wanted to also get across is this methodology that you will see as part of this class is a standard method that you can use for many problems to be solved. For example, collect data from social through APIs and through other methods, analyze this data, do some exploratory data analysis, EDA it's called, and get some understanding of the data, then do some inferences, mostly some prediction, classification, causality. So all of these kinds of end questions can be asked, but generally the methods is collecting data, analyzing the data, finding some interesting patterns in the data, and making some inferences from that. So in this case, again, we collected a lot of YouTube data. looked at the title, looked at the comments, looked at the sort of say meta features that are available, meta data that is available about the video, not the video itself, because I think we were more interested in the text that is coming versus the images that are available. In the later part of the class, you will realize how different techniques are needed for analyzing these different types of content that is getting generated on social, right? Some places you are having data like edges, right? So edges meaning it could be friendship, it could be I gave a review, right? This is a hotel and this is PK. I'm giving a review for hotel and therefore that edge is created. It is you and me on LinkedIn. The edge is created if we have connections, right? That's one type of information. The other type is I'm uploading a picture. That's other type of data. I'm adding a text saying that, look, I'm teaching this class for BS and on PSOSM. That's a text that I'm typing, hashtag PSOSM for BS at IITM, right? So if that's the hashtag, that's the text that is posted, what can you do with that, right? Hashtag PSOSM BS at IITM, let's take. We should probably use that hashtag as a hashtag to talk about the class, the content, the social content that is getting generated. We should probably have this particular hashtag, right? So that's what mining, and then what we kind of inferred is that there are extremist videos that we found. There are also these hidden communities, which is that the communities that are not directly evident that people are part of this larger extremist graph is something we found using part of this data also. Not just the videos, we also identified users, people who are generally uploading these content. We classified them or we annotated them as users who are part of this extremist content generation community on these platforms. Again, as I said, it's a whirlwind tour, so we are going to be just talking about a lot of different platforms, different problems together in some form. This one is a Foursquare. Not many people may be using this platform. This platform is one of the most popular platform for LBSN. It's called location-based social network, which is primarily designed around the location, which is you go to a hotel, you go to a restaurant, you check into the restaurant, you're saying that you are having food in this restaurant. You go to a concert, you're saying you're watching a concert, you check into that hall, or you go to an airport taking a flight, you check into that airport. That check-in is what we are talking about in Foursquare, which is a location-based information. So at some point in time, we were interested in looking at, look, can you actually turn this information that is available for on a platform like Foursquare to identifying something about me, which is from the check-ins that you do on Foursquare, can we actually identify the city that you're coming from? Can we identify your home location? Right? Because if you generally think about it as a user, you will be probably checking into, let's take point A, which is where you work. So probably point B, where you probably eat sometimes. Point C, probably your home. Sometimes you may not check into your home, but basically the points are the venues, it's called in Foursquare. The venues are generally going to be the places that you frequently visit. So when I know that the points, the locations that you frequently visit, can I actually use that to infer where you live? Interestingly, this data that we had at that point in time had a data set of really, really large data, which is about 13 million users. At that point in time, 13 million users of Foursquare check-ins was a large amount of data that we were playing around with. And we were able to find, so if you look at this results, it says our results indicate that one can easily infer the home city of around 78% of the analyzed users within 50 kilometers. And you go look at the graph, the percentage, and we are able to identify even shorter distances for some users, where the distance could be much lesser than 50 kilometers itself. Right? So essentially, we can, and there was another platform, Strava, which became popular after Foursquare. This platform is generally used by people who are actually into biking, into running, jogging, all of that. They kind of share the track that they use for jogging and all of that. There were studies shown to use that to find out locations of places that you visit, and I think there was some incident where this was also used to find where a military base was using the Strava information. Right? So that's for Foursquare and privacy. The first one we did was YouTube and extremist. Next one is Foursquare and privacy. As we move forward, I can be a little bit more quicker because I think you would have understood what kind of things we are talking about here. Again, feel free to stop me in terms of asking questions as and when you're watching this video. After watching the part, feel free to question us anything that you are interested in. This one was also a very interesting piece of work, which is Twitter and phishing. Phishing is a problem where users are taken to a malicious website and some credentials, some personally identifiable information is collected from them. The vector for getting people onto these fake websites, fraudulent websites, are changing over a period of time. At least 2009-10, around that time, it was primarily email. Today also, I think emails are used for phishing attacks, but social has become much more larger platform on which these phishing attacks happen. So what we thought we'd do is, look, we should actually collect some data, look at how much of phishing is happening, what kind of phishing is happening. Even phishing itself has a different types, categories of phishing, which is spear phishing attack, whaling, wishing, right? So spear phishing attack is an attack that is very targeted. Right? If I send an email to all the students taking this PSOSM course in spring 2023 semester, as though it is coming from PK, and saying that here's a link to the new content that I uploaded on for the course, please go watch it. And when you click on the link, it takes you to a web page where it says, oh, please give your email address, username and password, and then I will show you the website. Right? So that could be a spear phishing attack targeted to students who were in this class. Whaling is large group, large phishing attacks done at users who have a lot of financial stake. For example, it could be a CEO of a company, right? So those people are targeted in this attack called whaling. Wishing is same attack as a phishing attack, as though it's an email, but done through voice. Right? There are different types of phishing attacks. In that one attack, one type of network that is used is Twitter. So we started studying Twitter so the system that we built also was popular at that point in time. It's called Fishery. We built this, made it public, people started using it, and we got some very good attention in this piece of work also. Right? We use machine learning. I mean, these are old time machine learning, but about detect phishing tweets with an accuracy of 90%. And I think there were very, very nice, interesting problems that we were studying, which is to given a text, first finding out URLs, then finding out whether it's a phishing URL, then finding more features of this tweet and trying to classify and given a new tweet whether it is a phishing tweet or not. Right? So that's Twitter and phishing. Facebook and digital footprint, right? Facebook is, again, in this work, what we were interested in is looking at identifying users across multiple platforms. I'm sure you'll realize that, for example, let's take my own name. Punnurangam Kumaraguru is here. And then I also referred to as Guru, P Guru in some papers. When you write the citations of the paper, it generally comes out as P Kumaraguru. Then my Twitter handles is Punguru. My Insta handle is pk.profgiri. Right? So now, if I give you this, and this, can you find out if all four of them are the same person? Right? It's not as hard as a problem as given one, go to another one. Right? So there are multiple problems here. So you have to find out Punnurangam Kumaraguru is P Kumaraguru the same. Take probably the profile picture of all the accounts, take the posts that lots of interesting things can be done. Meaning, I think we will talk about all of this at some point in time in the class later. But my idea is that, look, I think the problem of digital footprint is an important problem. Right? You are leaving traces as you use these social platforms. Can somebody put them all together and figure out this is who you are? Right? This work, at least we ended up actually continuing. Multiple PhD students actually worked on this problem. We actually built some systems also around it. One of the systems is called Nudging Nemo. First we had a paper called Finding Nemo, and then we did Nudging Nemo. Nudging Nemo is looking at can you actually build an interface where PK says, look, I want my linkability between different platforms to be 0.9. So I don't mind. For example, in my actual case, I actually don't mind because I actually post the same content in all the 4 platforms at the same time. If you go look at my post that I've done, as you're watching the video, please go to my profile and look at it. You will see the post done between like less than 1 minute in all the 3 platforms. All the 4 platforms actually, Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And so if you do the content analysis or the time of the post of the content, then you can easily figure out that this is just me. Right? But there could be people who want to say just keep as 0.1, right? I want to say that, look, I don't want to be connected. Please tell me what all I should do to make sure that the content, my accounts are not linked. Right? So it could go from 0 to 1, but the interface, we built interfaces where we did some user studies to show that, look, providing linkability, methods to avoid linkability users actually like, and these interfaces actually help in making such choices. That's what this work is. This work is, of course, built on the earlier work of the digital footprint and looking at linkability. Okay, so that's the next piece. Fake content. Fake content is going to continue. We have a bulk of a content somewhere in the middle of the semester. for fake content itself. So this one is on the Boston Blast. Boston Blast happened, a lot of content got generated, and many fake content got generated. So we were interested in looking at what content is becoming more viral. Why is that content becoming viral? All that. That's what this paper does. And interestingly, this paper, some of the papers that I'm showing is also some phenomenal work that we did at that point in time. This one is definitely one of those cool papers that we did at that point in time. Followed an earlier Hurricane Sandy. If you remember the earlier parts of the class, I actually showed some image in the Hurricane Sandy where there were a shark in the water. Those images, those pictures, those understanding that we had is through this piece of work. YouTube, now different platform. The problem is also slightly different, child abuse, right? I'm sure you would have seen YouTube many a times that the title of the video and the video itself may not be matching. Title may be saying that it's a cricket match between India and Pakistan, but the content may be something else, right? And particularly when it comes to the child content, then we need to be more careful about what's going on. That's what we were interested in studying here, making sure that we understand the content that a child is going to look at in YouTube, whether it's actually verified in some sense, whether it is actually content that a child can consume. That was the question. And we built again a small tool called KidsTube, which is looking at the YouTube content. When you do some search, it's actually looking at the output of the search to figure out whether this content, the results or the recommendation that a child is getting, is it actually child proof? This one is another one. We talked about it a little bit in one of the earlier parts where I showed examples of how crowdsourcing could be done for policing, how policing can use, police organization can use social platforms for advisory, all of that. Exactly, that's what this paper does. Taking Facebook as a platform, studying how well it is used, what all information what is the response rate, how are people consuming this content, how are general citizens reacting to the content when a police organization posts all that. That's what this paper does. Facebook, again, continuing on the same platform, Facebook, malicious pages, right? So, meaning malicious content is a general problem. Content could be, it could be the content that you're creating, user handles that could be there, URLs that could be posted. All of this is malicious, right? So, all of them, I mean, any of them could be malicious. So this one is on malicious pages. Again, at this point in time, we did collect large amount of data to look at what pages are. Again, methods are the same, which is collecting data, looking at whether it is fake content, malicious content, all that. This piece of work looks at Twitter and spam. Spam, again, is a huge problem, right? So if you look at some of the results that earlier research has been done, large amount of content that gets generated on social platforms are actually spam. Meaning, I'm guessing that you would have actually also seen the conversation that Elon Musk is having on Twitter about studying how much of content that is getting generated on Twitter is by bots. All right. So we did some interesting questions. We asked some interesting questions. Particularly, we were interested in campaigns. It's not about this one spam that is showing up. We wanted to study how the spam campaigns work. A lot of accounts doing activities at the same point. And I'll show you a couple more actually piece of work in the similar lines, but this one is a Microsoft text scam. how large amount of campaigners come together to actually promote this spam, promote this attack, and do things around on social. What do they do? Right? So that's this problem. Interesting, again, interesting problem, interesting approach that we took. But there needs to be more to be done on all of these problems. I think none of the problem that I'm citing here is a solved problem in that sense. That is, oh, I download a tool and it'll work. Make sure that all content that my kid is watching on YouTube is actually child-proof. That's not going to happen. I log on to Facebook, everything that I'm seeing is truthful information. Not possible. I can log on to Insta, all the likes that I'm getting, all the likes that I'm seeing on a friend's post, is all legitimate? Probably not. Right? There's another interesting problem called shadow profiles, which is looking at information that this platform has about you, even when you're not on that platform. Right? Facebook could collect information about you and have it on the platform, even if you're not on the platform. How could they use it later? Let's say when you come onto the platform, how do they make use of this information, right? So those are the kinds of things that happens as part of shadow profiles. So we were interested, we looked at actually Twitter as a platform again, what level of shadow profile content is getting. For example, there are people who are not on platform, people who talk about their name with a hashtag, right? Let's take your Sharat Kumar, right? You're not on Twitter. I say that, oh, hashtag Sharat Kumar, great meeting you. Or great meeting you, hashtag Sharat Kumar. There are many ways to curate this shadow profile. I'm just giving you one example here. This is very similar to the earlier, this piece of work, spam campaign, Twitter spam, extension of that work. And this one was interesting that we were interested in looking at abusing phone numbers on the social media platform, right? Which is cell numbers are being posted on social, and it's being used for calling, it's being used for doing these spam campaigns, right? So can you actually find these cell numbers? Can you actually do something with these cell numbers? Find a way to detect these cell number, phone numbers early on, so this spam campaigns can be detected. Since it's very similar, I'm moving slightly quick there. But this was another one where the same kind of problem, which is the like problem that I said, which is if I go to an account, there are tons of examples on Insta that you see where the number of likes that they have on a post is like 1,000 times, 10,000 times more than the number of followers that they would have. You can question, right? Is it even real? Are these likes done by real people? Are these likes done by bots, right? So those are the questions that we were interested. Here we were actually able to detect. So if you see here again, there are methods that we used, and we were able to detect these likes, whether they are real or fake. It's a different platform, so it's an Insta platform. I don't know how many of you would remember when I was putting this deck together, I was thinking, how many of you would even remember these kind of challenges that happen? Kiki challenge, Momo challenge, Blue Whale challenge on social. They become instantly popular. Many people get onto it and then they die. But this Blue Whale challenge existed on social for some time, so we started studying, which is Blue Whale challenge is a list of things that are given on the social saying, please do this, cut your hand, take a picture with the blood and post it on social, go to the building, go to the floor and fall, and kill yourself, right? Things like that were written on these instructions. People were actually following it, right? People, at least there were instances that we could see on social that this was going on. So we wanted to study it. We collected some data. We did some analysis and showed the large amount of content at that point in time was actually prevalent on social about blue whale. Again, some of you may be using this platform. This is a platform, again, which is very popular in terms of live streaming, which is I get onto Twitch. I want to stream. I'm playing an online game. I want to stream the game and play with others also, right? Multi-party game, multi-party users playing game on the same platform, same game, all that. One of the big problems in this is this chatbots itself, meaning I've seen personally myself, thanks to students who are working on this problem, where you create this streaming and you sit there and you talk. People are actually talking to you on the chat on the side. Oh, do this, do that, move here, give me this, give me that. All that is going on the side chat. And one of the questions that we were interested at that point in time is that how real is this chat that is happening? Can you actually detect whether it's a human being that is speaking to you, or they're just doing this chat to increase their probability of account becoming more popular? Which is, I create a stream, I have bots which show on to my stream and have chats so that my stream looks more popular, and therefore my user handle becomes more prevalent in a search term. Right? All of these are very well connected. So that's what we were interested in here, which is Twitch and chatbot. So we'll see elections later also, but here is so elections, as I told you in the earlier part of the week one, where elections, social has started playing an important role in elections. So if that's the case, then we need to transfer all the problems that we are studying, fake content, bot account, phishing attacks, all of this should be transferred to the social platforms within the context of elections also, right? So that's what we did. And it's actually an interesting phenomena. I'm pretty sure some of you will be very, very excited about to look at this if you're coming from states where there is going to be elections as we actually do the semester. If you're curious, feel free to collect some data and we can talk about it. So that is social, which is all platforms, elections and bots. So here is another different network which you may not have heard. It's like Parlor. If you remember, again, I mentioned about Parlor earlier in this week. Parlor is a platform that we talked about earlier. Gab is a very similar platform, which is run. Or users get there with certain ideology, right? They all have a particular ideology and talk about problems that are there, talk about content that is relevant to that ideology. This was actually an interesting way that this project came about, some discussion in the part of the class that I was teaching on campus. And we started thinking about, oh, look, this is an interesting platform. That's a platform that got popular also during the semester that I was teaching. And we said we should actually try and analyze this content from Gab. So we ended up actually analyzing it. Again, we used this. The goal for us was to understand whether the platform has abusive content, the platform has abusive users, all of that. So generally, social also has these kind of pieces of information, that either it is user or it is content. User meaning my profile, right? Which is PK, faculty, IIT, all that. Content is posts that I do. The third one, that is my network, right? I'm connected to people. That's PK. There's generally three kinds of content that we will end up having as part of the social media content when you collect. Right? Here's a different one, different problem. Problem may be the same fraud, but a different kind of a platform, right? Job portal. I'm sure you all have accounts on LinkedIn. Can you actually look at the user, meaning fraud can happen in two ways, right? One, a company is created on LinkedIn when the company doesn't exist. They're saying that fill in the application here, pay this 1,000 rupees as the process to get interviews scheduled for you, blah, blah, blah. On the other side, an account that is created, a user CV is created when the person does not even have the credential that he or she is claiming to have. Right? It could be that I have an MBA, whatever. So I don't have that credentials. Can you actually detect these kind of things is the question that we ask. It's actually an ongoing work also. Currently, one of the PhD students is working on using knowledge graphs as a method to detect these kind of frauds on platforms. Twitter and Islamophobia. COVID, I think the next couple of slides also has about COVID. COVID kind of helped us to understand what's going on in social. Again, there was a surge of content, right? Meaning generally social media could have been here during COVID. Probably it was something like that, right? So we started actually looking at, large content is getting generated. We should actually do something interesting with this content that is getting generated. So Islamophobia, hate speech on social platforms with respect to COVID was starting to become more and more important, because I'm sure you will realize, if you recollect, there was a lot of this hate happening against Asians, hate happening against a certain community during some parts of COVID. At that point is what we started studying, and then we analyzed a large amount of content to characterize what was the level of content, aggressiveness of this Islamophobic content that was getting generated on social platforms. Here, particularly, we studied Twitter. Here's another one. This is another study which was very exciting to actually understand the policy that the government and agencies were making of masking, to see whether from a photo uploading platform, can you actually find out that, look, people in Hyderabad are not using masks, because here are this a million posts that we actually looked at from Hyderabad, which had the hashtag Hyderabad or posted from Hyderabad. We see that people are not wearing masks when they actually post pictures. That's what we did in this work. Again, this was an interesting piece of work at that point in time, because we could sit anywhere, collect data about New York, collect data about Boston, and say that, look, 34% of the people in Boston who are showing up in these platforms are not wearing masks, even if they are standing in groups. Right? So that's what we were interested in looking at this point. So this one was a very, very interesting study, and it actually got some very good acknowledgements from academic community about the work that we did, which is Koo. Koo is a platform in the first or second part of the week I said about Koo. We were studying, this study was just characterizing the network, which is, what is this platform? How many users does it have? What kind of network edges do they have? Are they very densely connected? Are they sparsely connected? Do they have a lot of popular nodes? Do have less number of popular nodes? How is a community created here? All of these questions is what we ended up actually studying, which is actually super interesting thing, and it actually spun out a few more ideas on top of this network itself, which is also very nice. But the idea to keep in mind is, anytime when some new platform comes, please take a stab at it, collect some data, look at what's going on, write about it. It's always exciting to study. For example, Parlor, when it got popular, that's what we did, and it got very good attention. Twitter and restored accounts. Interesting problem again. Restored accounts are accounts that is, look, something happened to your account, Twitter suspended your account. But after some time, your account actually comes back, right? Maybe that you went back to Twitter and said that, look, I'm actually a legitimate user. Please don't suspend my account, blah, 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 all that happened. Sometimes Twitter itself decides that, look, their algorithm was not perfect in deciding whether this account is should be suspended, and therefore they suspended that account, right? Suspended is what Twitter does, deactivation is what you do, right? So restored is this coming back. I got, this is my account active. At some point in time, my account got suspended, and then it got restored, right? Point A, point B, point C. Active, suspended, restored. So we were generally interested in knowing that what are the characteristics of these users that are getting restored. If you can do that when the account is getting suspended itself, can you actually tell the user saying that, look, I think the probability of your account getting restored is 40%. Right? So we did some interesting studies around. So if you see here, it talks about we investigate restored accounts further in pre-suspension. We see that the number of tweets per account dropped 53%, which is basically doing characterization of the users whose account got restored. Twitter and protest. Twitter, meaning I think if you remember the earlier content, we talked about how Twitter social has been used, like Arab Springs, UK riots, Assam riots. There's lots of riots that are generally studied on these platforms. So a question that we were interested in is that, can we actually predict, study, characterize these kind of online protests that happen and use that to feed something before something happens, before a protest happens, before a riot happens, and things like that. This is an ongoing work, but some work that has been already public is what I put here. The pursuit of being heard, which is, can you actually analyze these social platforms to study the protest that is happening, protests that could potentially happen. So what I did now is eventually take a lot of these platforms, Twitter, Coup, social, different platforms, Twitter, Job Portal, Gab, Social, Twitch, many different networks. Twitter, of course, being more frequently seen because data collection and everything is much more simpler there. So I walked you through quite a variety of problems that you can study. These are only problems, and these are not also comprehensive. I only took a sample of problems to give you different networks and different problems, to give you a sense of what all could be studied, but I'm sure there are many more. That's all I had for this week. Thanks for listening. Again, any questions, post it on the mailing list.